Horror Story, Chapter 1. Cursed Shadows, The Haunting at Hollowbrook Manor. The wind howled through the ancient trees, its chilling whispers echoing across the desolate landscape. Hollowbrook Manor stood tall and foreboding, a dark silhouette against the moonlit sky. Its decaying walls and broken windows whispered tales of a haunted past. Edward Monroe, a renowned paranormal investigator, arrived at the manor with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. He had heard rumors of its ghastly history, a place where the souls of the damned lingered, trapped between this world and the next. Determined to uncover the truth, Edward pushed open the creaking front door and stepped into the abyss. The interior was shrouded in darkness, save for the dim light that filtered through the cracked windows. Edward's flashlight cast eerie shadows on the walls as he cautiously explored the hallway. The air felt thick with malevolence, as if the very essence of evil had seeped into the bones of the house. Suddenly, a chilling breeze caressed Edward's neck, sending shivers down his spine. He turned, but there was nothing there. Sweat dripped down his forehead as he pressed on, his heart pounding in his chest. As he entered the parlor, a sense of foreboding washed over him. The room was frozen in time, as though the spirits that haunted the manor refused to let go of their earthly possessions. Antique furniture covered in dust lay in disarray, as if a violent force had torn through the room. Edward couldn't help but feel eyes upon him, watching his every move. Whispers filled the air, barely audible but laden with despair. Edward strained to listen, hoping to discern the secrets that the manor held. The voices grew louder, their anguished cries piercing his soul. A tortured wail echoed through the house, freezing Edward in his tracks. Time seemed to stand still as the walls themselves seemed to breathe, pulsating with an otherworldly energy. The temperature dropped, and Edward's breath turned to mist before him. He was not alone. The spirits of Hollowbrook Manor had awakened. With a sudden burst of spectral energy, the room erupted in chaos. Books flew off the shelves, paintings crashed to the floor, and unseen forces pushed Edward against the wall, choking his breath. Desperate, he reached for his crucifix and muttered a prayer, invoking a barrier against the malevolent spirits. Silence fell upon the manor, the air heavy with an unnatural calm. Edward, gasping for air, gathered his wits and continued his exploration. As he ascended the grand staircase, he noticed a series of old photographs lining the walls. The faces stared back at him with vacant eyes, their haunted expressions etched into his mind. At the top of the stairs, a door beckoned him. Its splintered wood seemed to pulsate with an eerie energy. Edward hesitated, but his determination pushed him forward. With a trembling hand, he turned the doorknob and stepped into the room beyond. The room was a macabre shrine to the manor's dark past. Cobwebs hung like gossamer threads, and the air reeked of decay. In the center of the room stood a decrepit rocking chair, swaying back and forth as if propelled by invisible hands. Edward approached cautiously, drawn to the chair. Suddenly, a figure materialized before him, a specter clothed in tattered garments. Its eyes glowed with a malevolent light, and a ghastly smile stretched across its ethereal face. "Leave this place," the ghostly figure whispered, its voice a sinister echo. "You have awakened our wrath." Edward trembled, but his resolve remained unyielding. He brandished his crucifix, invoking the name of all that was holy. The specter recoiled, its form flickering and dissipating into the ether. Silence fell upon Hollowbrook Manor once more. Edward stood alone in the room, a sense of triumph mingled with lingering dread. The spirits had been banished, their tortured souls set free. As he exited the manor, Edward glanced back at the haunted house, a place forever etched in his memory. Hollowbrook Manor had shared its darkest secrets, but its tale was far from over. Its walls awaited the next unsuspecting soul to unlock the horrors within, and the ghosts of its past would continue to wander, forever trapped in their ethereal prison. Years passed since Edward's encounter at Hollowbrook Manor, yet the memory of that fateful night lingered within him like a haunting melody. The paranormal investigator had become obsessed with unraveling the enigma that surrounded the manor. Determined to find answers and bring closure to the restless spirits, Edward returned to the dreaded place that had forever changed his life. The manor stood as a relic of darkness, its once formidable presence now worn by time. Edward stepped through the front door, feeling a familiar chill slither down his spine. The atmosphere was heavy, saturated with an almost tangible malevolence. It seemed as though the spirits, having tasted freedom before, were less willing to let an intruder disturb their eternal unrest. This time, Edward was armed with an arsenal of knowledge and spiritual artifacts. He had meticulously studied ancient texts, consulted renowned mediums, and honed his skills in various occult practices. Armed with a newfound understanding, he was determined to face whatever lay in wait. As he traversed the familiar hallways, Edward noticed subtle changes in the manor. The walls seemed to pulse with a faint, ethereal glow, and an eerie whispering filled the air, like distant echoes from a forgotten realm. The spirits were aware of his presence, and their anticipation grew with every step he took. In the heart of the manor, Edward found himself drawn to a hidden chamber. The door was obscured by a tapestry, as if shielding an ancient secret. With a surge of anticipation and trepidation, he parted the heavy fabric and stepped into a chamber untouched by time. The room was bathed in an otherworldly light, emanating from a spectral artifact placed upon an ornate pedestal. It hummed with power, the embodiment of the spirit's unquenchable yearning for release. Edward approached cautiously, his heart pounding in his chest. With utmost reverence, he extended his hand towards the artifact, prepared to make a pivotal choice. As his fingers brushed its surface, the room erupted in a cacophony of spectral voices. Whispers, cries, and anguished pleas reverberated through the chamber. The spirits demanded salvation, their collective energy surging and writhing around Edward, testing his resolve. In that moment, Edward's determination fused with empathy. He understood that the spirits, once victims of unimaginable suffering, longed for liberation from their torment. Closing his eyes, he summoned his deepest well of compassion and made a vow, an oath to set them free. A surge of energy coursed through Edward, intertwining with the spirit's ethereal essence. The artifact responded, its glow intensifying, as if acknowledging the pact forged between the living and the dead. Edward channeled his strength, drawing upon the spiritual forces he had spent years studying, and directed it towards the artifact. A blinding burst of light engulfed the chamber, illuminating the manor with a brilliance that banished the darkness within. In that radiant moment, the spirits were released from their spectral prison. Their ethereal forms soared upwards, ascending towards the heavens, their anguished cries transforming into echoes of gratitude and peace. As the light dissipated, Edward found himself standing alone in the chamber. The weight that had burdened Hollowbrook Manor had finally been lifted. He had fulfilled his purpose, bringing solace and release to the tortured souls who had haunted the manor for generations. With a sense of satisfaction and closure, Edward stepped out of the chamber and exited Hollowbrook Manor for the last time. The once haunted house had been transformed, a place no longer trapped in darkness, but marked by the remnants of a haunting history and the light of redemption. Edward's journey had come to an end, but the story of Hollowbrook Manor would live on, a testament to the human spirit's resilience in the face of darkness and the power of compassion to transcend even the most profound horrors.